we're going to do our movie, which is DOA, for tomorrow night. And we're going to call the film critic. You can stay if you'd like.
I could do this out.
It's totally up to you. It's film critic town, but
What, you heard about that movie, The Hobbit, right?
yeah.
That's coming out soon. Hopefully.
Let's see if Frank knows.
Dello Stritto, talking about movies.
Frank, do you know when The Hobbit is coming out?
I do not.
And Kevin Russo's here with me, film critic. You talked to him maybe last year.
Okay. How you doing, Kevin?
Good.
Kevin, why are there so many film critics named Kevin?
I don't know. Very interesting question.
Right, okay. It's a good name for a film critic. I'm not complaining. But I've just, when as soon as I heard your first name, I didn't remember you, so this guy must be a film critic.
I've got 2 more films for you, which I'll get you on email for the next 2
Okay.
weeks.
All right. Are we ready to start?
DOA.
Okay, DOA. But before I go into that, I had a great experience last night as part of Universal's 100th anniversary. Universal Studios was formed 100 years ago. They're playing some old movies on big screens. And though I've seen Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein countless times on television, I've never seen them on the big screen before. And I went last night to the double show, and it was magic. So if anybody has a chance to see some of these old movies, they really come alive when you see them the way they were meant to be seen, which is on a big, big screen.
And which 2 again did you see?
This was Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh.
It was one of the events that's organized by Turner Classic Movies. They broadcast all over the country, and it's in the movies. And they had some specials, but the movie themselves were special enough. So highly recommend it if anybody has the chance. If they keep an eye out, because there's more of that going on this year because of Universal Centennial. So there'll be other ones shown. And you forget what kind of movie it is when you only see it on television. And I've only seen I've seen the horror classics more times than I can count, but I very rarely have seen them on the big screen. So it was a real treat. DOA, Dead on Arrival. Joe, you stray around, but you always go back to your first love, film noir.
Not me. It's Anthony Gavari.
Well, okay. Well, film noir, you guys always come back to it, and I'm glad you did it tonight because Dead on Arrival, DOA, which stands for Dead on Arrival, but the title of the film is DOA, is one of the classics of film noir. A bit late in the genre. It was 1950. And I can't give away too much of the plot, but in the first 5 minutes you find out a man has been somehow gotten a strange poison into his system, which is going to kill him, and they can't stop it. And he has a few days to figure out how it all happened. And when we first learn this, he has no clues, but little by little he starts piecing things together and tracking people down. And of course, when you know you're going to die in a couple of days, there's not much they can do to you. And the film takes off from there. And it is there's a lot of film noirish movies with the shadows and the darkness and all that, but they're not really film noir because their plots don't have that at the core. But this has the paranoia, the who to trust. No one's telling it all. Everyone's got a secret story that you have to uncover, and this guy is peeling it away with no time at all because he has to hurry. And he, by the way, is Edmund O'Brien, a character actor who was about to become one of the top character actors through the 1950s, and he was in a lot of big-name films. And I believe this might have been his first starring role. He wasn't the kind of guy that got a lot of starring roles because he didn't have the he had a rugged good looks, but he did not have the classic leading man good looks. And he had it wasn't a heavy man at all, but he had kind of a stocky build. He wasn't leading man material, let me say. But he was a superb actor. He got an Academy Award about 3-4 years after this movie was made for The Barefoot Contessa, and he was a fixture through 1950s movies. And I saw him a lot on TV when I was a kid in the 1960s. And he's very good in the movie. The movie's directed by Rudolph Mattei.
Don't know him.
Well, not many people do, though. You've probably seen When Worlds Collide. That's one of his movies.
Ah.
And you've probably seen a lot of movies that he photographed. He was a cinematographer for 20 years before he directed his first film. So he worked with Hitchcock. He worked with Orson Welles. He worked with Ernest Lubitsch. He worked with a lot at the big studios in some of their big movies. And then in the 50s, late 40s, early 50s, he switched to directing. And his directorial efforts were kind of pedestrian. When Worlds Collide is remembered mainly for its special effects, but it's kind of a mundane drama on screen. But this one, he really excels himself. DOA is a very well-made movie and very tense throughout it all. There are two famous, at least famous in my world, an actor and actress who will make their first real film appearances in this movie. Beverly Garland is billed as Beverly Campbell, and she'll become a queen of the bees in the 1950s.
Sure.
She was in a lot of Corman stuff, Not of This Earth, It Conquered the World. My favorite film with her, she's one of the people that saves the film from being utterly absurd, is The Alligator People. And the other one is Neville Brand, who I imagine a lot of your viewers will not really remember. To me, he was Al Capone on The Untouchables. And before 1950, he had appeared in a couple of movies and in television, but usually not with a speaking part. He was kind of a thug standing in the background. He had the face that you wouldn't want to meet on a dark light. He was a real tough-looking guy. And this is a small but a good role for him, and it's kind of quirky. And if anybody doesn't know who Neville Brand is, if you watch this movie, he's the guy driving the car about midway through the movie. And when you see that scene, you're going to go, wow, this is a strange performance. But in a movie like this, it's a bit over the top, and it works. In film noir, you never know quite who the good guys and the bad guys are. But the premier bad guy who's kind of one of these slimy guys, too gentlemanly to be a good guy, is Luther Adler, who is he's one of the older people, and he's only 47. But this tends to have a young cast. He came out of Yiddish theater. His parents were both in Yiddish theater. His family was in Yiddish theater, and then he switched to English language theater early in his career. And he was mainly in the theater, but he made movies here and there. So this is one of his infrequent film appearances. And he played Hitler more. He didn't look much like Hitler in this movie, but in his early days he played Hitler a bit, and he was even played Adolf Hitler in an episode of Twilight Zone about 10, 12 years after this movie was made.
Wow.
So I don't think Adolf Hitler though. This guy was a character actor. He usually gravitated towards villainous roles.
We got 90 seconds. I want to ask you another question. So this
I'm out of it.
DOA is tomorrow night, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And do you have anything else on it that you quick? Or
No. Go ahead, ask your question.
did you see The Girl, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, and did you, Kevin, see The Girl on Saturday night?
I saw The Girl. Yes, I saw it.
Did you think Toby Jones was miscast as Alfred Hitchcock?
I thought he had the voice down pat.
Me too.
I thought from behind. When you ask a question like, "Do you think he was miscast?" You should make it a more neutral wording.
Thank you.
I thought he had the voice down pat. I thought from behind, when he was talking with the camera behind him, which they did a fair amount, you couldn't tell it wasn't him. He didn't have Hitchcock's eyes at all, and that kind of made it hard to. I think he was miscast. I think he did a good job, but you have a strong image of Alfred Hitchcock, and anyone that deviates from that, you're going to say this is not Hitchcock.
I got it.
I will say this: they bent over backwards to make the guy look like Hitchcock, but the woman didn't look a thing like Tippi Hedren.
But I think she did a good job, and our show's over.
Okay, talk to you next week. Bye bye.
See, I know, I'm a big The Walking Dead.
Yes, you are. And thank you for watching our show, Kevin Russo, Jeff Dearman.